Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
But today, we witness with our own eyes police officers kneeling on the necks of black Americans. George Wallace may be gone, but we can witness our federal government sending agents to use tear gas and batons against peaceful demonstrators. We may no longer have to guess the number of jelly beans in a jar in order to cast a ballot. But even as we sit here, there are those in power who are doing their darndest to discourage people from voting by closing polling locations and targeting minorities and students with restrictive ID laws and attacking our voting rights with surgical precision, even undermining the Postal Service in the run-up to an election that's going to be dependent on mail-in ballots so people don't get sick. Now, I know this is a celebration of John's life. There are some who might say we shouldn't dwell on such things. But that's why I'm talking about it. John Lewis devoted his time on this earth fighting the very attacks on democracy and what's best in America that we're seeing circulate right now.
This was a really amazing eulogy given by Obama on the same day that Donald Trump is tweeting that the election be postponed. Now, if you didn't see this coming right after Election Day 2016, you weren't paying attention. People in this audience have called and said, he's going to do this. He's going to postpone the election. And I have had to reassure people that he doesn't have the authority to do that. That his term will indeed be over, whether we have an election or not, which, by the way, he can't postpone. He can't. Congress would have to. You would have to amend the Constitution. A lot of different things would have to happen, and it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. But regardless of whether or not Donald Trump tweets that we need to delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote with 3 question marks after it, which just goes to show you what his internal polling is telling him. He can't win. So he's come up with an election strategy to take election out of re-election. However, the 20th Amendment tells us as a country that the president currently of the United States of America's term will be over on January 20th, 2021, if we have an election or if we don't have an election. So he's sort of damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. But what's really creepy is no one from his administration. Bill Barr was asked this question. Bill Barr was asked whether or not he believes, as the Attorney General of the United States, that the President of the United States has the power to postpone /delay/cancel an election. Bill Barr wouldn't answer the question. He wouldn't answer it. He said he hadn't really thoroughly briefed himself on the issue quite yet. Okay, it's in the middle of a mashup. Okay, but I will tell you that Senator Tim Kaine today, they were doing a oversight hearing of the State Department in the Senate, and Senator Tim Kaine asked Mike Pompeo, our Secretary of State, whether or not he believed, as a lawyer, as an accomplished lawyer, whether or not the president could delay an election, and Pompeo won't answer either.
This morning, the president is suggesting that the presidential election should be delayed, and I sort of want to start there. This is not something that either you or I were prepared to talk about today because I think it happened in the middle of the hearing. The president sent out a tweet that said, quote, delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote, question marks. Not saying it will happen, but raising a question. Can a president delay the November presidential election, Mr. Secretary?
Senator, I'm not going to enter a legal judgment on that on the fly this morning.
What?
Mr. Secretary, you are an honors graduate of West Point. You are a graduate of the Harvard Law School. You were on the Harvard Law Review. I was at Harvard Law School, and I went to a lot of Red Sox games. I went on the Harvard Law Review. You were
Very kind of you. Thank
you. You are one of the most highly trained and accomplished lawyers who are part of this administration. Can a president delay a presidential election?
Senator, in the end, the Department of Justice, others will make that legal determination. We all
The Department of Justice
should want. I know you do too, Senator Kaine. I want to make sure we have an election that everyone is confident in. It's not only free.
Are you indifferent to the date of the election?
It should happen lawfully.
Right.
Yeah.
It should happen lawfully.
Yeah.
So for the record, because you may not want to comment on it, but I do think it's important. A president cannot delay an election. The date of the election is established by Congress. It was established in 1845. There is no ability for a president to delay an election. And I don't think it's that hard a question, or one that should lead to any equivocation by somebody who's fourth in line of succession to be president of the United States.
And he's laughing. Mike Pompeo thinks this is very funny for the American people to be taunted this way by the president, to be threatened with their most powerful nonviolent tool that we possess in our American citizens' arsenal, the right to vote. Pompeo thinks it's all very funny. Now, what in the hell is he talking about that the Department of Justice will decide? No, Congress decides. Congress decides. And Congress is not going to have 2/3 of the people in the House and 2/3 of the people in the Senate decide that the presidential election should be delayed. No, they would also have to change the 20th Amendment. They would have to change the 22nd Amendment. They would have to change everything. This is ridiculous. This is so completely threatening. And we have enough to worry about. We have surpassed 150,000 dead Americans, which is more Americans that died in the first year of the Civil War from a virus. We can't, you know, 4 more years of Trump will surpass the number of dead because the Civil War went on for 4 more years after that, right? We just can't do it. But to threaten your ability to vote, are you freaking kidding me in the middle of this? Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.